Good afternoon, welcome to another exciting episode of Filmcraft Reviews. I'm your host, Andrew, and today we're going to be reviewing the newest entry in Sci-Fi Channel's ongoing series of good original series, The Magicians. So The Magicians is a series that aired on Sci-Fi earlier at the beginning of last year that, considering the fact that there's nothing really good coming out for blockbuster movies this weekend, I decided I'm going to review it, because I just marathon the living hell out of it on Netflix, and goddamn did I love it. So The Magicians is a series about two college grad students named Quentin and Julia who are whisked away to take an entrance exam into a magical college called Breakbills, where it teaches its students magic and sorcery. Quentin makes it in, learns more about the magical world, where Julia fails and is sucked into the magical underworld. Well, first starting off, I'm going to say I love this series. It really sucks you into this incredibly well-crafted, well-incorporated magical universe that really feels like the college version of Harry Potter. And they show such intricacies with spell casting, with learning, and just really makes you feel like you're actually in their environment. Alright, right off the bat, this series pulls absolutely no punches in getting you sucked right into the story. Pacing phenomenal. The moment you walk right into this show, it's 10 to 15 minutes into the first episode of this 13-episode series, where they already get you into Breakbills, get you into the magical world, and get you taken into everything. It's really fast-paced, which is really something to see, because most shows like this just take forever, a lot of plotting until they finally get you into the world. So, really good points with that. Then right from there, it's just character after character after character that you get to meet, and you just get enveloped into. Quentin meets all kinds of colorful characters at the college, meeting characters like in his group, like the really smart outcast character of Alice, the really dickbag, lovable dickbag named Penny, the two hedonists that run the party dorm, Elliot and Margot, and they're all whisked away into this adventure where they all try to find out about this magical world outside of Breakbills that is a source of all fairy tales and true magic. And during the course of their studies on trying to figure out better ways to use their magic, they open a portal to another world and find probably one of the coolest magical villains I've ever seen. I call him the Mothman. You'll see why. Which his introduction just shows one of the coolest and gritty, violent scenes I've ever seen in a show, but definitely ever seen in a magical show. Which is another great point about this show. It just does not pull any punches with the adult themes into it. In terms of sexuality and humor and writing and violence, it never feels like it's a kid's show. It feels like anyone of any age, from college student or older, teenager or older, honestly, could get really wrapped up into this show in the way that it goes about. So there's a lot of really good points about this show, but I want to say probably the best of which is going to be the writing. They take this show, basing it off of a book also called The Magicians, only written a few years back, and man, does it really feel like they actually crammed everything from this book into this show, but actually stretched it out long enough to make it really all feel really natural. From episode to episode to episode to episode, it continues to go at a really fast pace that allows you to really absorb everything that's going on with these characters and their interactions between each other. Is that more and more they're just trying to figure out more about this this elsewhere magical world. They're trying to figure out more about the really complicated magic they do, and they do all kinds of hand spells that I'm not even going to begin to try to do. And they keep going into more detail about how their magic works and all the difficulty that goes into it. Makes it feel like college level study. But at the same time, they have this other story that goes on with that character, Julia, about this dark, seedy underworld underbelly, which is probably one of the best written parts of this show. And then goes a lot of depth into her character and her entire character journey that just ends up being really relatable. Where she gets sucked into the addiction of magic and experiences deaths of people, and you feel like a drug addiction story that goes on with it, with this whole fall and redemption that goes into when it finally comes into an actual climax that brings her story and the story of Quentin going on in Breakbills all together and trying to find and defeat this really sadistic villain from this magical world. Which is probably one of the only downsides I can even say about this show, that it takes quite a while for those two things to even come together. But you're so interested and enveloped in the characters and their journeys that it doesn't even feel like it's even that long. You actually, it ends on this cliffhanger note that really makes you want to come back for more. It makes me want to come back for the next season. So something you probably notice with sci-fi original series is they don't really have a whole lot of money they put into their shows, not a whole lot of money, not a whole lot in terms of the effects budget. But for this show, though those effects were minimal, they had with a lot of the spells and the magical creatures that actually worked to its benefit because it allowed a lot of focus on those characters and what they were going through. Right, but the few times they actually do end up using effects, because they never spend any money on anything else, they actually end up looking fantastic. Overall, I think The Magicians was a masterpiece of a first season of a show. I can't wait to see where it goes from here. I'd recommend it. So let's just give it a 9 out of 10 stars. I'm Andrew. Like and subscribe for more awesomeness from Filmcraft, and I'll see you.